Simone, aka the Neighborhood Homegirl, and this is the Neighborhood Sessions. And for today's very special guest, I have my good friend who is an amazing filmmaker, writer, director, journalist, all that, with me today, Miss AB.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, Simone. Hi,
Thank
girl.
you for being here for me, friend. I'm nervous as fuck.
I'm not. There isn't anything to be nervous about. We're just having a conversation.
We're having a conversation.
Yeah.
You're right.
Absolutely.
So being that we're like both, filmmakers, writers, directors, all that good stuff, I thought today's conversation we can discuss like networking and give like our homegirls and homeboys at home like a little insight on, how we're trying to pave our way in one of the most competitive, if not the most competitive industries in the world, which is the entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. So, do you want to, tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Of course. Well, first things first, thank you so much for having me here today on your podcast. I'm really excited to be here. My name is AB Ikuku. I'm from Nigeria, born and raised, lived in London for a bit. I have a bachelor's in journalism. And then I moved to Los Angeles at 21. And basically, I've been living in Los Angeles for the past 9 years. And the topic of networking is something that I'm still trying to get a hang of. However, again, I've been here 9 years now, so I think I have some experience with networking as far as like the do's and the don'ts and stuff like that. What to expect when you go out to meet new people.
Mm-hmm. So you moved to LA from your hometown, which is
So I was born and raised in Nigeria, okay. And then at the age of 16, I moved to England to pursue, to further my education. Oh. So I was there for 5 years. I was a teenager. I was 16. And then whilst studying journalism, I had this, I would say, realization that I could change the world more through fiction than reporting the daily news. Because again, in journalism, bad news sells. And I didn't want to be in that environment. And Hollywood pays a lot more. So I'm like, you know what? I can change the world more through fiction than telling the daily news. So I came here at 21 and I haven't left yet.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. As far as with me, I didn't want to be a journalist at first. My initial goal for myself was to be a filmmaker. And I figured that, pursuing journalism was a way to get me in doors that I normally wouldn't get in,
right.
Get in just being old. Not saying I'm regular, because ain't nothing regular about me, but you know what I'm saying. But so after I graduated from college, I met this individual who I will not name. He was into some fishy stuff, but I helped him kind of build his brand. He had a magazine company, and so I went from writing and editing and stuff to basically being a content manager and helping him really get his shit together, because he was all fucked up all over the fucking place. But while working with him, I did meet some amazing individuals. I went to networking events, award shows, red carpets, all types of stuff, right? So I did network. That was a way for me to network my short films and stuff, because I have a production company, which is Sweeter Productions, which has been idle for a little bit, but hopefully, if I get my coins together, I'll get that back and running.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a journey. It was dealing with a lot of shady people, but I would say that it helped me build my confidence, because I'm shy as fuck, if you haven't noticed. Unless I got a little kiki in my system. Other than I'm shy as fuck. But yeah, it was a way for me to put myself out there. Not more so as a filmmaker, but just an overall brand.
As a multidisciplinary artist, because it sounds like you do more than one thing.
And I do.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So.
Yes, certified bad bitch. I'm just kidding. No. But yes. All right. So can you tell me about your first networking experience? The first time you maybe went to you remember how me, you and James went to that What was it? Like
Was it the Thanksgiving event or the
not
Issa Rae event?
that one. The
Yeah.
Easter Rae event.
Yes.
What was at her? It was at
It was Black Boy Rights
Black
event.
Boy-
Yes.
yes.
My
Yes.
Guyo.
So can you tell me about like your first networking event, like something like that? Like, how did you? What was it? Were you shy? Did you freeze up? How did that go for you?
Again, I mentioned I've been in LA now 9 years, so it's tough for me to remember my very first networking event. But one of the first events I remember attending with the intention of networking was some kind of art exhibition by this Nigerian American, because when I moved to Los Angeles, I realized that there isn't a very strong Nigerian or African community here in LA compared to places like Houston, Texas, New York, London. I would say things have changed. Things are definitely improving. I would credit the music like Afrobeat or Amapiano bringing people together and just bridging that gap between the Black people in the diaspora and those of us who move here. But one of my first networking events, I remember, I wouldn't say I'm a shy person, but when you're networking in LA, I don't think it's something anyone really figures out. It's just something that you have to keep doing. Of course, when we talk about networking, people network for different reasons. Most people network with the intention of like moving forward in their careers or building a community or meeting someone that could change their lives. So initially, when I would go out to network as a newbie in Los Angeles, I would somehow have this idea that, okay, I'm going to this event and my intention is to meet someone that can help me. But now that I'm approaching my 10th year anniversary in Los Angeles, I would say that is the wrong idea to have, because I believe it was Ava DuVernay. I was watching an interview of Ava and Issa Rae. It's an old interview. But Ava mentioned that most times when she meets people, sometimes some people wear a cloak of desperation, is how she described it, where you meet them and you can just get from their energy that they're desperate, like, please change my life. And people aren't generally moved to help people like that. She said it's best when you show up with something of value, show up as you are, but also like, rather than your desperation introducing you to the person that you're trying to network with, it should be the value you're rendering. So, hey, I'm a filmmaker. I just shot this film. If you don't mind checking out the 30-second trailer and helping me as far as advice on where I can take this, because, the social media space is now very crowded. Everyone is a content creator. Everyone is shooting. I mean, doctors are shooting content, architects, everyone. So
it's very informative.
It's very what?
Informative.
Yes, it can very well be very informative, taking into consideration platforms like TikTok. I've sort of veered off your question a little bit, but my first networking experience, I'll say it's a bit of a blur, but every networking experience I've ever attended, I always leave with something. Either a lesson, because sometimes you're like excited to meet someone and then you meet them and you realize that they're not a very good person,
Happens to me a lot of times.
Like one of my networking experiences, I really desperately had been wanting to connect with this British Nigerian director, and then I met him and I asked him a simple question. I said, who do you aspire to be like, and he was startled. He was like, right here, right now. Like he was like, that's a very serious question for me. I was like, oh my God, dude, like,
just
really?
Standoffish.
He kind of even snapped at me a little bit. I was like, oh my God, okay. So again, every networking experience is different, but I always leave with something, which I think ultimately is the goal.
Yeah. That's why I try not to like idolize certain people, because they never live up to our expectations. Ever.
Absolutely. I would say that's a fault of ours too for idolizing them in the
It
first
is,
place. You know,
yeah.
a lot of people are just very good at branding,
Oh yeah,
you
it's a
know,
show they're putting on a character
putting
for
on a
TV or
character.
TikTok, whatever, whatever.
Yes.
I would say like my biggest downfall when it comes to like networking is I can get very, very shy. Maybe that's built up insecurities in the past with people not really fucking with me because I don't have X amount of followers, or I don't maybe look a certain way, or I just hang around certain people or whatever. But what I can say like that I do admire about like you and like our good friend James over there is that y'all are really not like shy to just go up to people and like talk to them. Like I'll just be, I don't know, standing in the corner, sipping my drink or whatever, and talking to y'all, and then I turn around and y'all are like gone. I'm like, where the fuck did y'all go? And then you guys are over there talking to somebody else. I'm like, oh, okay. But I really admire that. Like I'm trying to put myself out there more to do that, and that's why I'm doing this. Like I don't do stuff like this. Like I'm like I said, I'm a behind the scenes type of girly. Like do a written interview like over the phone or on Zoom or one-on-one in person, and if they are recording it, I'm like, please don't use that because I was doing all types of weird shit. But yeah, I'm super proud of you. Like even like meeting you, like I was like, oh my god, like I love her, and I don't really fuck with girls like that because a lot of them could be very petty and
Yes.
like very particular and stuff, but you're good peoples.
Thank you so much. You're also good peoples as well. I remember when we hung out. First, it was the Thanksgiving event. It was such good vibes. You were taking care of me actually because I think I got a little too much alcohol in my system. Yes, and then also like the following event as well. Like you're the kind of girl that if you see lipstick smudged on another girl's teeth, you're gonna be like, "Hey, girl, there's lipstick smudged on your teeth,"
Yeah, like why
as
would
opposed to
someone
people
do
not
that?
saying anything. You
That's
know,
not fucked up. I'm not about to have you walking around here with lipstick on your teeth.
it's the little things. So I do love you as well. You're also very down to earth and not competitive in like for the attention of men, for example, because that's usually the downfall of women. And also in reference to what you were saying, like, have you always been shy about just walking up to strangers and connecting with them? And because one of the last networking events we attended, I found I found the way you were sort of like, how do I phrase this? Okay. So Ray and I would go meet people, and then when I would come back to our base where you were seated for majority of the time, you'd be like, "So, what did you tell them? What did you say?" So I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's
she
me.
does have an interest in networking, but there's this hesitancy about her putting herself out there. So where did that stem from? Have you always been like that way?
Like shy.
Shy?
I guess it just depends on the situation and the atmosphere. Like with certain things, I feel like it's like 100 of us around. When I mean us, I mean like aspiring creatives, and then there's these people who have, I guess you can say that we can say that deemed made it. I guess you can say like the Issa Rays or the Ava DuVernays or whoever it is, right?
Yes.
And then there's like 100 of us aspiring creatives, and we're all in their faces and like going up to them like, hey, this is who I am. I built this, did that. Like, I don't know. I just don't want them to. I want to stand out in a sense, and I just feel like it's a certain time. Like it could be like I don't know,
Overwhelming
it's
for
be
them.
overwhelming, yeah.
Yeah.
And just not the right moment. Especially if I feel like
Absolutely.
everyone's doing that, like they're not gonna. Yeah, you can get them, you can add them on Instagram and stuff. But I added a lot of people on Instagram, like just me talking to them or whatever, just being out. Like people like creatives, even if they're like content creators or whatever, they never look at my content. They don't open my DMs. I'm probably in their red folder, like a little thirsty. And I'm like, okay, like so what was the point? I don't know. I just feel like it just has to make like sense to me. I'm not knocking you actually doing that, because I think like, yeah, like seize the moment, seize the opportunity. Like if they're in front of you, do that.
Yes.
But I don't know, for me it just has to like make sense. Like, I would rather meet them, like, if we're, like, at a coffee shop. Like, in a normal environment.
Okay, so you're leaving, like, you'd rather connect with these people in a more organic way.
Yeah, organic.
But what if those, circumstances do not present themselves? Mm-hmm. I just feel like sometimes when you're in the room with these people, you just have to take the opportunity and just go for it. At the same time, though, some people are terrible at reading the room, because sometimes some of these people, after chatting with like 50 aspiring creatives, their social battery is down. So you have to read their energy before you approach them, because sometimes it's not like, how we said earlier that sometimes some of our inspirations, we meet them and we're disappointed. Sometimes we just happen to meet them at the wrong time. Maybe like they just had 50 people shoving their business cards in their hands, which is one thing I don't do anymore. I don't really roll around with my business cards anymore, because I feel like most people just toss it in the bin, What do you think about business cards? Is that something that you do? Do you give out your business cards?
I don't. I have some little stickers my friend made me, but other than that, I don't have a business card. But I do agree they will toss it in the bin. Especially, I don't know, I just feel like a lot of people are just so, like, superficial. Like, oh, like, what do you do? Who do you hang out with? Who's your social circle? Who, like, how many followers do you have? You know what I mean? It's more, like, pretentious. And it's not really, like, organic all the time. But I don't know, like, with me, I try to put myself in, like, different, like, groups. Like, I'm in a book club, right? Like, it's just certain environments where, you might run into, certain people like that work behind the scenes. Maybe it could be, and it doesn't have to be like Issa and Ava directly. It could be like a photographer or a videographer or,
an editor.
An editor. It doesn't necessarily have to be like them directly, but someone, that works with them and that could, bring you to like an event or something.
Yes, or sharing information with you that. So someone said to me, like one of my mentors in Nigeria, he told me that he's a businessman, he's like not in entertainment, but he told me that something that has helped his career is, rather than focusing on just the executives at corporations, he engages with people like the security at the front of the gate, the cleaners, because sometimes these people overhear things while they're cleaning that other people might not be privy to the same information.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think most people are like, oh my God, how do I get Ava DuVernay's assistant's email so I can email my script? Basically, it's not always the obvious person that you should be trying to connect with. Sometimes it's the person that is considered the underdog,
Yeah, of course.
And speaking of networking, there's this quote that just always jumps out. Actually, Issa Rae said it, but she said that she was filming a podcast and it went viral and they chopped out the beginning of what she was saying. But it was one of her writer friends, Amy Analbi, who is also a writer on Insecure HBO. She had emphasized about networking across as opposed to networking to the top all the time. So I think that's important. Like right now, what we are doing is networking, or networking brought us into this room, So tomorrow, I don't know, a year down the line, 6 months down the line, you could be like the next most popular and successful journalist and podcaster. And it's like, yes, I know Simone. And then we have to then deal with, or you then have to experience like people in your face trying to get on your podcast as guests, and then you just have to remember, okay, who was there for me at the beginning,
Yeah. No, I get you. Like, speaking of that, like, even just to do this one, like, simple thing, I mean, I don't know. It's not simple. I mean, of course I know it's going to blow up because I'm manifesting that for myself or whatever.
Amen.
But, like, I think, like, at least, like, with, like, last year, I realized, like, damn, people really don't fuck with me. Like, like...
Why do you say that? Why do you feel that way, rather?
Okay, So I write for another publication, right? And there will be certain individuals where I helped promote their business. They'd be entrepreneurs or in some type of, they might have to be a small business owner or whatever it is. So I did I would interview them for that said publication or whatever. And then later on, I hit him up like, I built like a relationship with you. Like, can I, I'm starting the neighborhood homegirl.com. Like, it's going to be a publication, you know, all things Black culture, and I'm writing about topics that resonate with me and that are close to my heart and stuff. Like, would you mind me interviewing you? And the amount of people that like agreed to do it, maybe out of like pity, like, oh, I know her or whatever. Like, she did this for me for this publication or whatever. After the fact, and like keep in mind, like as like a journalist, which I'm pretty sure like it takes a lot to like, even before you even get to typing and all that stuff, like the build up in order to get there to do the interview and all that, it's just a lot, right? So I'm researching about them. I'm formulating questions. I already started on the article because in my head I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to do this interview with said individual, right? And so I'm waiting. I send them the questions and I'm like waiting for them to, send the questions back, and they never do. They're too busy, or they forgot, or they didn't get it. And I'm just like, but why did you get it when I'm writing for this other publication, but you didn't get it when it comes to my,
your
right, to my
own
stuff?
Yeah.
I was like, well, damn, just slap me in the face.
I honestly, sometimes it's hard not to take things like that personal.
It is. I feel like a lot of times it is personal.
It's not personal. It has everything to do with the person, because if the neighborhood girl,
Homegirl,
the neighborhood homegirl podcast, if you had like 50,000 subscribers already on YouTube or something, those people wouldn't hesitate. So I feel like they're just revealing their character to you before you get to where you're headed, And those kind of people, I've seen it one too many times. They end up coming back around in the future, like, hey girl, remember me type thing. And
that's why I take it personal.
No, never take it personal. You just take mental notes of.
Well, yeah, mental notes.
Yes,
of course.
like, okay, this person tried to do me this, because ultimately in life is give and take, It's very unfortunate. Like, even speaking of podcasts nowadays, when you watch like relationship podcasts, everyone is talking about what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? So I would say people like that, they're just thinking about it from a perspective of like, okay, how does me being on her podcast help with my views or my followers or something? She's growing. No one wants to be part of the struggle. Only the real ones are part of the struggle.
Right.
But then everybody wants to be part of like the success, So you just have to, I always remember that these things happen to some of our heroes as well, whether it be Trevor Noah or Oprah Winfrey, who is a journalist, Issa Rae.
Yeah.
They don't all like detail all the shady things that people did to them. Sometimes even family members hurt them along the way by telling them things like, what makes your podcast special? Who told you that anyone's going to care about your script? But you just keep going and you use those things to build character and, I guess, thick skin.
Yeah.
Because these things never stop. Even when we get to the top, we're still going to be engaging with people. And, people can be very, like, unpredictable.
Yeah.
So it's, like, something that never stops.
Doing that. Like, even, like, when I, have X said amount of followers or whatever, and someone, that's aspiring to be, like, a filmmaker, a journalist or whatnot, if they reach out to me for, like, advice or, I don't know, I just see myself helping in any way that I can because I was once there. Like, I just don't see myself... Because if you feel that way, like, oh, how does this benefit me? Why didn't you say that from the beginning? Like, a lot of these people lead me on to think that, okay, like, yeah, send me the questions. I'll get them over to you as soon as possible. I got you. And then they just, like, bullshit me or, like, sometimes ghost me. And I'm just like, you could have just said that from the beginning. But I guess people want to keep up their image that they're not, like...
They're not mean or something like people. That. Yes. Well, it's just people being people or people choosing to be terrible people, Like,
yeah.
it's easier to give someone else the advice when they're going through the experience. Like, yeah, don't take it personal. I also take things like that personal sometimes. Like, is it because I'm not popular yet? Is it because I don't have a certain look or whatever? Like,
Have you ever
but
been ghosted? Not in the
by
sense
a
of like
guy,
really, we're not talking about me right now. I mean like the important stuff. Men are important. I
they
mean like
are
they're important when
the
you
good
thinking
ones.
about yeah. But I'm
Yeah.
talking about like our success, our future, like what's gonna bring us money and happiness and longevity, where we can give our children the lives that we might have not had for ourselves. So, have you ever been ghosted in a sense of like when it comes to you reaching out to somebody, let's say like as a filmmaker, and them saying like, yeah, like I don't know, look over your script, or I'll put you in this direction. Like, have you ever been ghosted in that way?
I've been ghosted, I've been robbed, I've been I mean, so many awful things have happened to me that I may not be able to fully talk about on this particular podcast because I might get emotional and just like tear up, and I don't want to ruin this
That's
episode,
not ruining, Bookie.
But one thing that sticks out to me based on your question is, again, when I came here to Los Angeles, I was looking actively for community. Like I still remember in the year 2020, 4 Black people, 2 Nigerians, 1 Black American, and someone from Zimbabwe. They kind of like tried to ruin my career. These are people I had hired to be as part of my crew. And again, it was during the pandemic, so I had to literally like struggle to even raise the funds to shoot that short film. I highlight that to say sometimes it's your own people that try to, destroy your career before you even get an opportunity. Like when I was applying for my visa so I could stay here, ironically, it was my white cast and crew members that were more like helpful towards me. I mean, there have been so many realizations I've come to since moving to Los Angeles. And sometimes when it comes to like our people, Black people, Africans, I realize that a lot of people suffer from the crabs in a barrel mentality. Like for those out there who don't know what that means, is that when you put crabs in a bucket, when one of them tries to escape, the others pull back the crab trying to escape back into the bucket. So it's just like when people suffer from a scarcity mindset, they can never really see the bigger picture. But now to answer your question, something that's stuck out to me because it happened very early on in my career. I had connected with this Nigerian American artist. I don't want to specify what he does for a living, but he's worked with Chris Brown. He's worked with Naomi Campbell. I mean, he has like huge credits to his name. And I had met him at an African event. We spoke for like 15 minutes. We had such a beautiful conversation. He asked me for my email. He was like, send me your work, like your films. I would love to see because I'm trying to venture into filmmaking as well. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. I've been meaning to connect with you. Like at that time, I'd been in LA for like 4 years, and that was one person I'd been trying to meet for a long time. So I'm like, oh, this could be it. So I went home, I emailed him, I sent him my work. He actually responded the following day around 5 a.m. Hey, I really love your work and all the films you just like sent to me. How can we collaborate? And I responded to him that, maybe we can go for coffee or something. And he just never responded. 3 months later, I'm attending another event. It's a Hollywood event. I run into that same guy and I go say hi to him. Like, hi, do you remember me? He's like, no, I don't remember you. But I could tell that he remembered me. He was just like with like 2 people, I guess they were also popular or something. And it's like trying to just switch up in front of them. I don't know. And what's even more funny is that a year later, that same guy, one day I was going through my stories, like I posted, I'd shot a short film, it went a little viral. That guy was in my stories, like he was one of the people that viewed my stories. So again, confirming that he did remember me.
You know who I am.
You know who I am, but
Yeah.
you're just like get your name a little bit out there, then I can claim you in public. But we can do the little email thing. I don't know. It's just I hate that people call it the LA thing. It's a people thing, you know?
I don't like that.
Yeah, that hurt my feelings,
hurt
but
my,
you know, I was like, what's that about? But again, it's not every lesson that you learn at school or at home. Sometimes people you meet people and they teach you like really important lessons.
Did you have any like preconceived, like, I guess, ideas of how like LA was gonna be, being that you're not born here or whatever? Like, how did you perceive LA to be?
Well, I'd watched the movies, you know, I'd watched movies like Baby Boy, which I kind of wish like I shouldn't have. It was very, you know, but I'd also seen like Clueless, you know. So I had an idea of the fact that Los Angeles has different communities and like different spaces. But when I got here for the first time in the year 2014, I came here for 4 weeks for a short program. Then I was still doing my bachelor's in London, but I came to LA for the summer. Like, I want to do my MFA in film, but rather than just step into the water, like, let me just test the waters a bit. And I came here, and in 4 weeks, I discovered that this place is my city. Now, before 2014, I thought LA was just all palm trees, Beverly Hills. Everyone was like living their lives. I mean, I had heard of stories of people like Rodney King. I knew about like the political aspect of things as well, and like the journey of Black Americans in this country. But something about LA stuck out to me versus a place like New York City. Again, I'm from Nigeria, and I come from the Niger Delta. It's the part of Nigeria like that has a lot of like water and, you know, and oil and palm trees as well. So when I came here, I felt at home because, you know, you have Venice Beach, so for me, it was a nature aspect that made me feel like at home. But then I started to network with people, and I realized, okay, people aren't always who they say that they are. However, LA natives are some of the most chill people I've ever met in my life. It's actually the people that move into this town for entertainment that give the town a bad name.
Yes, because they feel like they have to act a certain way because it's LA or Hollywood
It's not that they feel like they have to act a certain way. It's because they come into into the city with the intention to receive, but they don't have any intention of giving. So they're just like, what can I take? What can I get?
Yeah.
You know, but this city is very spiritual. I really believe that. There's a reason why some people make it without having to sell their souls, and some make it because they sell their souls, or they went to a Diddy party or a Clive Davis party, you know. It's a spiritual place. If you don't come with pure intentions, I feel like Los Angeles will spit you out. But if you come with pure intentions and it's actually in your destiny to make it in whatever field you're actively pursuing, it will happen.
Yeah, you just have to be intentional and work your ass off. Because a lot of people out here who want the same thing as you.
That's the problem with this city, is that, like, you know, most people come here with most people move in here with similar dreams.
Yep.
You know, and it's just like, okay, how can you help me get to my next destination? Oh, you don't have too many followers. Okay, whatever. I was in London 2 years ago for the summer. I hadn't been back in years. I'm like, let me go back and just connect with friends.
Yeah.
And my friends literally were introducing me to like popular people over there. No one said, hey, how many followers do you have? They just followed me, you know? It's like, oh, you make films in LA? How can we help you? There was this idea of like, how can we help you, versus here it's like, how can you help me? That's one of the issues with Los Angeles.
I've traveled a bit, and then people automatically like, oh, I can tell you're from LA. I'm like, really? Like, how do we like, I guess they consider us to be like bougie. I'm like, have you seen my bank account? Ain't nothing bougie about this. But yeah, I don't know, but I get what you mean. So what So you just released like, your, is it a short film or web series?
I would say it's a web series.
Okay.
Yes.
Which I checked out. It was really funny.
Thank you so
I loved
much.
it.
Thank you.
So with that, like, do you plan, so you said it's a web series. How do you plan on like, continuing that? Do you plan to use like the same actors, the same setting? Like, is it going to be different? Because it's about like speed dating essentially,
It's
right?
about speed dating.
So, do you plan on like using the same characters and having them like continue on with the same date? Oh, well, of course, different dates or some of the same stories or whatever. Like, what do you plan to do with that?
So you're asking me a very good question that I haven't completely gotten the answer to as of yet. I would say I'm still in the figuring out phase because so luckily for me, where I shot the production episode 1, so the title is Dating in LA episode 1. I feel like that's an important or funny topic to key into because everyone's talking about dating these days. No one is really like engaging in conversations about history or like, African spirituality and whatnot. So sometimes I feel like you have to play the game a little bit. And for me, that topic is dating because it's something that permeates everyone's lives in some form of way. But the thing about Dating in LA, episode 2, I'm trying to figure it out because there's so much I can do with it, right? Even some days ago, I was having a chat with Ray about it, James, and he was like, AB, like you can literally like continue. Maybe some of the characters come back and then you introduce us to new characters. But my initial idea is that because I always like to be fair.
Yeah.
Like women say, oh, men are this, men are that. Men say women are this, men are that. And I'm in the middle, like men are this, women are that. Because I've experienced both genders and I know like, people can be terrible. People can be people are people, So for episode 2, I wanted to highlight women with issues in the Los Angeles dating scene. Now, I don't date women, I date men. So I need to do a bit of research or maybe collaborate with a co-writer because if you observed, episode 1 had like really terrible guys like Mr. Weedhead, Mr. Scammer. Yeah. I don't want to feed into that narrative that all men are bad. So for episode 2, I want to bring in a bit of balance and show women like Mrs. or Miss lacks accountability, Miss no job, because sometimes you hear men saying things about women as well, like everybody wants a 6-figure guy, but it's like you can't spell accountability, like, like...
No, I feel that.
Like I've fallen out with female friends. I know how we can be sometimes as women, so that's that about dating in LA. However, like there's a lot I'm doing this year. I'm recording like a 3-song EP.
Who's singing?
Next month, me. I sing as well, but it's something I put aside because singing or songwriting, it's its own art form, and I decided to just take my time with it because unlike screenwriting, with songwriting, you tend to say like less, and I've been struggling with that a bit. Like people say less is more, and I think that applies to songwriting really as well. It's really hard, It
is hard. But that's good. I can't wait to, if you need some background dancers.
I definitely will need some background in one of my music videos.
If you want me to do some Sierra, some Chris, I can't do that one. Can
you do the low? Oh, okay, you say you can't?
So who?
She had that video where she goes like all the way down. Ooh, Sierra.
Nope. I'm in my 30s. I can't do that.
Chris Brown is in his own lane. I would never like put that pressure on anyone.
Please don't. But I could do a little 2-step, and just like do my little duck lips and peace signs in the back. But yeah. But so to end this, do you have like a piece of advice that you would give someone like, maybe moving to LA on like, trying to pursue whether it's like filmmaking, music or whatever it is, like what advice would you give them?
Okay. There's a lot I can say on that. I don't know how much time we have, so I'm going to try my very best to keep it short and concise. But I think first things first, everyone in the arts or whatever industry you're in or actively pursuing, you need to ask yourself, why? Why am I doing this? Why do I want to be a singer? Why do I want to be a filmmaker? Because it is your why or the reason that sustains you during the journey when you're like struggling, you know, whether financially or mentally or like psychologically or all of the above, you know. If you're chasing a dream and you have the right reasons, I feel like God will always send people at some point to help you on the journey, whether that be like friends, collaborators that are also headed in the same direction that you're heading. That's number one. Number two, for anyone trying to move to Los Angeles right now, I would say when I compare Los Angeles in the year 2015 to 2025, I would say a lot has changed about this city. And then we started the year with fires as well. The Olympics are coming to Los Angeles in a bit. So I haven't really said this publicly before, but I've been considering the potential of moving out of LA, to be honest. To like another
LA,
city, like
another city in California, though.
No, outside of America, actually, maybe like Tokyo.
Okay.
Because I feel like too many people in this town have broken my heart. And like, when I say broken my heart, I mean, even in context of what we're talking about, like I've been hurt a lot. And sometimes I just feel like you need to move away to heal, you know, because whether that be a toxic relationship, you're driving past Venice Beach and all you remember is like the dates with that person who turned out to be awful, you know. But if I just up and move out of a city that I always wanted to move to since I was like 6 years old, it means I'm allowing my enemies win, you know? So just trying to find that balance. Why do you want to come to LA? You should ask yourself, am I able to afford it? Because too many people come in here with unrealistic expectations about the cost of living. It's really high, you know? There are a lot of homeless people. When I was in London, like I didn't see like up to 20 homeless people on the streets.
Yes.
You know, safety as well, like oh my God. And again, I'm not trying to paint a negative picture of Los Angeles. I would just say LA is in a very like different place right now. Even if the sun is out, there's still this gloomy dark cloud that has been floating since the year 2020. So I would say unless you're trying to add to the sunshine in Los Angeles, please do not come. Please stay wherever you are. And the world is becoming more of a global village. And I strongly feel like you don't have to move, whether it's from Minnesota or like, I don't know, like Nebraska. I don't know. You don't have to move. You don't, even Nigeria, you don't have to move to LA to make it in the entertainment industry, because now social media has kind of like leveled the playing field. Mm-hmm. Issa Rae is Issa Rae today because she bet on herself. Awkward Black Girl happened to be the show that kicked off, but she had 3 web series. Yeah. Awkward Black Girl was the 3rd one. And then it was like season 2 or season 3 was when Pharrell Williams was like, I like this, I'm going to invest in this. So I would say that it just takes one person recognizing your goods and investing in you as a person, right? Mm-hmm. Again, you don't have to move to LA to make it in the film industry. What other advice? I would say, lastly, if you're moving to Los Angeles or any big city, whether it's London or New York or Los Angeles, you have to ensure that you don't break your own heart by having unrealistic expectations, whether that's of the people or like the place, you know? And you are who you attract at the same time. Mm-hmm. Or not always true. People often say that. You may not be who you attract, but you are who you entertain in your life, right? Because everybody says, oh, there's so many fake people in LA, but there are many genuine people in LA. Oh. So if you entertain the fakes, what does that say about you? If you're comfortable with the fakes being around, you just might be fake as well, you know?
Exactly. Clock it.
Yeah, so
Agreed.
I'll say come here, find your people, don't chase the clouds, do not allow like that superficial energy,
To consume you.
to consume
Yeah.
you. Ensure that you are grounded, whether that be through like your faith, your connection with your family, because once you lose your roots, especially in a city like LA, once you forget who you are, like you're as good as dead. And also be careful again when you move out here. Like me, for example, I've been poisoned twice in Los Angeles.
Oh, what?
Yes, by fake friends.
That's crazy.
Yes, so I didn't die. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. But some really dark things happen in this town. And I'm 30 years old now. I turned 31 this year. I used to be really mad at God. Like, God, why didn't I make it in my 20s? But recently, God told me, AB, if I had opened the door for you in your 20s, you wouldn't be here today. Because I've had to overcome things like people pleasing. It's like, okay, I don't do drugs. But if you're at like the Grammys and you're in the toilet bathroom and you see all these superstars, everyone is doing coke, and they pass it to you and you're struggling with people pleasing, you just might, because it's your it's the people you look up to.
Ugh.
If you get what I'm trying to say. So there are many reasons why some people don't make it in their 20s, and I'm pretty sure God is tired of seeing like many of his children like die from addiction, whether that be Whitney Houston in a bathtub, so I'm really grateful to God that I'm still on the journey, because it means that there's still a lot that I need to learn. I have no doubt that I'm going to make it. I have no doubt that you're going to make it. I have no doubt that James is going to make it. I just feel like God is building our characters, because, we should never like pray for things like recently, one of my prayer points is like, God, please don't allow me to have things I'm not ready for, whether that be like a marriage or like children.
Yeah.
So there's a lot I can say. Maybe you can bring me back for another episode. I don't know. That's me just pitching to you. Like, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here, girl. I appreciate you. But yes. So
sorry, that was a little heavy.
No. It was a little heavy, but that's what this is for. Like, we're having real, raw, honest conversations about life. Like, and life be lifing. Like, I ain't never life before. So, but thank you for coming here. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
I love our friendship, and I love where it's headed. And I see amazing things for your future. Like, you're funny, you're super talented. Like, you know when to be goofy, and then when to, okay, now it's not time to be goofy. Like, even when I was nervous in the beginning, you were like, okay, like, now you're making me nervous. I'm like, okay, well, let me get it together, because she's serious, and I'm over here, like, acting like a damn dog. But yeah.
Can we hug on your podcast?
Your girl, yes.
Yes, let's hug.
I
Love girl magic.
All right, y'all.
All right, tune into the Neighborhood Homegirl podcast.